Wayward Magic, Chapter 5, Diverging Paths. The first thing we do is make sure the guards are actually fully knocked out. Tiara does this by taking the tip of her sword and jabbing a guy in the thigh. It draws a tiny sliver of blood, but he doesn't even flinch. His breathing remains slow and even. They all lie that way, as still as death, no matter how she kicks or prods them. It's not that we don't trust Tam's magic, but come on, even Tam doesn't trust her magic. Between Tam's mental abilities and Cressa's pyrotechnics, we have a lot to talk about when we get the chance, but for now, we need to move fast. Tiara asked me to help her with some things in the back room, while Cressa and Tam gather up the swords and any other weapons from the men. She also tells the two girls to keep an eye out for anyone else trying to enter the tavern. She tells them she's less worried about customers spilling in, a closed sign is put out and the door is barred, and more concerned with a backup contingent of guards arriving. In truth, I think Tiara just wanted the chance to get me alone for a quick chat. The back room is almost as large as the tavern's main area, and it appears to double as a bedroom for both Tiara and Cressa. There's one bed in one corner and one on the other side of the room, with a long folding wall that could slide between and divide the room to give Cressa a modicum of privacy. As I suspected, Tiara's more than just Cressa's boss. She's also her ward, or guardian, or whatever word you have for it. "You're not your average everyday tavern keeper," I say quietly. Tiara laughs softly as she begins systematically putting things in a large leather bag. "Figure that one out on your own, did you?" She pauses just long enough to give me a smile. "You know, I knew someone like you once. 10 years ago almost. Always dressed in black, a woman who knew weapons, a mysterious past." Tiara smirks. "Madeline was tall though, not short like you." I fight to keep from rolling my eyes. Everyone just has to mention the height thing. Tiara smiles with the memory of her as she continues packing. "At first, she was my friend, then she became more. She warned me that she might have to leave one day, unexpectedly perhaps, so she taught me how to fight, how to defend myself, and other things. We bought this tavern, and we ran it together. For 7 years, she was my angel, my teacher, my love. Then one day she tells me, 'They're calling me back, I have to go.' Just as suddenly as she dropped into my life, she vanished. I could tell she didn't want to go, but she had to. Her sense of duty was too strong. I'm going to assume you're not going to tell me who you are or where you're from, but if you're anything like Madeline, then your heart is true, and that's enough. I can tell you that I'm here to find and protect girls like Tam and Cressa." "Girls like Tam and Cressa," Tiara echoes. "Have you seen others like them?" I give a tiny nod. "I have, but not here. But I think there are more of them than we realize. They're rare, hard to find, most stay hidden for obvious reasons. I think there are a lot of girls, women, who suppress their abilities, or they might not even be aware of what's there." Then I ask, "Did you know?" "About Cressa?" Tiara nods, still going through her things. "Yes, she came to me one day about a year ago. She was basically begging on the street, thrown out of her own house. Instead of just giving her money, I decided to take a chance and give her a job and a place to stay. Not sure why exactly, I just felt something about her. Then, a month or two later, I noticed that her hands started smoking whenever she got angry. Another time, I caught her heating up a cup of tea just by holding it in her hands. So we sat down and talked, and rather than throwing her out, which I think is what she expected, I taught her how to meditate and focus, things that Madeline taught me so many years ago to control my anger. I couldn't teach Cressa how to access her powers, but I figured maybe I could teach her how to control them a little. Didn't want her accidentally setting the tavern on fire, you know, or hurting herself somehow, or me. That may end up working for your Tam as well. Quite the set of skills on that one, moving things, holding people in place, all with a thought. Did you know she could do all that?" I consider correcting her, telling Tiara that she's not my Tam, but then I realize that there's more truth in that now than I realized. I knew she could use magic, but I had no idea what she could do exactly or how strong she is. She was taught to repress her gifts instead of learning to use or control them. Tiara nods and sighs. "Ah, yes, the wayward. Things that are forbidden above all others. Ridiculous, really. All in the name of protecting the girls, but in truth, it's simply stupid old men lashing out against things they fear because they don't understand them. And they have no interest in ever understanding. Tale as old as time, as they say. And I can tell you feel the same way, yes? Yes. Like I said, I have a feeling about things sometimes, and I can tell that you'll take good care of the girls. Girls? I ask, noticing that she used the plural. She closes up the leather bag. I'm sure you realize what comes next. You're just being too polite to say it. I'm going to leave. Everything that idiot with the long hair accused me of is true. There is indeed a group of us planning an organized rebellion against the Emperor. I simply nod. I had already expected as much. And while it might be nice to have two girls who can use magic on our side, Tierra continues, the simple fact is that even people on our side might turn against them, call them wayward, arrest them, or simply strike them down. She shrugs. Or, well, I suppose they could try. Good luck with that against a girl with the ability to throw fire and no fear of using it. Anyway, funny that there are some people willing to fight openly against oppression and dictatorship, but still aren't able to accept things like magic. Another shrug. Or women warriors and generals, for that matter. But back to my point. I need to go, obviously. I have a rebellion to help run. And you have your mission, whatever it may be. And Cressa is a part of it. She's who you were here looking for, after all. Am I correct in all this? I nod quietly. Will she come with us? She won't try and stay with you. Tierra considers this for a second. She may want to stay, but she's smart enough to realize that she can't. What about the tavern? I ask. Tierra exhales, slow and sad. I'll talk to a friend of mine on the way out of town. He'll tell the local authorities that he came here to visit the tavern and found strange men asleep on the floor, and that maybe they should investigate. That way there'll be witnesses when the Emperor's men wake up. With enough luck, that will be enough to keep them from torching the place. Or killing Jairus. He's the drunk who was sleeping it off in the corner when you walked in. I knew I'd have to leave one day. She sighs, closing up the bag she'd been packing, and looks around. Damn, I'll miss this place. Perhaps one day I'll be able to return. Or, if not, maybe to a place something like this. She looks to me and says, Listen, I know it was a long time ago. I put a hand on her shoulder. I've never met your Madeline, or heard of her, but if I have any way of finding out about her, I will. I have no idea if I can find anything, but I can promise you I'll try. Tierra smiles and nods. Thank you. Sometimes all we can do is try. I give a little shrug. No idea how to find you again, though. Tierra is quiet for a moment. Do you know a little town called Nightfall? I nod. I've never been there, but I've seen it on a map. Fairly certain I can find my way there if I need to. Tierra gives me a tiny nod in return. If you ever need to reach out to me again, visit the little general store in Nightfall. I stop by there from time to time. Ask for Lily. They'll know how to find me. At the same time Tierra and I were conversing in the back room, Tam and Cressa were having a little conversation of their own. Tam told me about it sometime later. Cressa moves quietly and efficiently, disarming the guards and taking swords, belts, and scabbards from the sleeping men. But then she just haphazardly begins tossing them into a pile in the center of the room. Tam worries that the noise will wake up the guards, but none of them so much as twitch. Cressa, it seems, has more faith in Tam's magic than Tam does. Tam wrinkles her nose. What are you doing? Cressa shrugs as she digs a few coins from the pockets of one of the guards. She drops the coins into a pocket in her dress. What? They won't need them. We will. Tam sniffs. They told us to take the guards' weapons. They did not say we were to rob them. Cressa shrugs again. They didn't say not to. Tam frowns hard. It is theft. Cressa sighs and folds her arms. Listen, I'm not sure if you remember, but they were trying to kill us. They'd have no problem picking the pockets of our corpses once they were done. Besides, look at the wounds on some of these guys. They might bleed out before they get medical attention anyway. Are you going to stop and bandage them up? And what about that one over there? You launched a chair at his head. Now you're worried if I take a few coppers from him? Tam mirrors Cressa by folding her own arms. I was defending myself, as were you and your mistress, and Raven as well. Cressa smiles and raises an eyebrow. The lady in black. Her name is Raven. She's a goddamn badass. She watches Tam's face color. What? Quietly, Tam says, a lady does not swear. Now Cressa barks a laugh. Are you serious? You have no problem with me attacking someone with fire, but taking coppers and using foul language is a line you can't cross? As I said, we were defending ourselves. Yes, yes. And, Tam clarifies, I certainly do have a problem with you using fire the way you did. Magic is forbidden. It is wayward. Cressa steps forward angrily. So it's a fine thing for you to do, but for me it's forbidden? No, Tam snaps. It is forbidden for me as well. I feel great shame in what I have done. Well, I don't, Cressa replies. I feel great pride in what we've done. These men attacked us, 2 women and a pair of girls, and we held them off. They outnumbered us 2-1, and we still defeated them. We stood up for ourselves and showed them our strength. It is forbidden, Tam repeats. Forbidden by who, Tam? Forbidden by men who fear us, men who, if they had our strength, if they had our abilities, would use those abilities to subjugate us. They would use that strength as a weapon of power. We simply use it to defend ourselves. But that is why it is forbidden. Imagine if women everywhere started standing up to the men who tried to belittle and abuse us. It is not because we can't control our magic. It is because, with magic, the men can't control us. Tam looks away and huffs. You sound like Raven. Cressa grumbles. Well, good. At least one of you has sense. It's at that point that Tierra and I step into the tavern common area. Ladies, I call out, time to go. Get whatever you've managed to pilfer from these guys and load it up in the cart out back. Tierra's headed west. We have to collect our own horses and gear from the inn and get the hell out of Dodge. Tam, ever the literalist, says, I believe this town is called Stokely and not Dodge. Cressa turns to Tierra. And what about me? Tierra moves close and gives Cressa a warm embrace. You, child, light of my morning, must go with them. It is not safe for you where I am going, and you are needed elsewhere. Our paths must diverge for now. Tam lightly touches Cressa on the shoulder. And perhaps you could help us find the other girl we're looking for, Rebecca Hopewell. Cressa turns and gives Tam an exasperated look. I just sigh. Kid, it's her. She changed her name. I turn to Cressa. Right? That is you. Unless you guys have another magic-using young girl hidden away somewhere around here. Cressa shakes her head. Fairly difficult to hide from authorities if you go around using your real name. Besides, I always hated that name. It's insipid. Tam narrows her eyes. Why were you hiding? Tierra puts up a hand. Any further discussion must wait. We must all go, quickly. Now.